podcast is brought to you by PodPro Australia.
Social media, Google, email marketing, website traffic, and the endless content creation that comes with marketing. It's overwhelming, right? Say goodbye to endless stress and hello to clarity with the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. In this podcast, I will share with you fast and free practical methods to help you manage, monetize, and market your business, all infused with a healthy dose of motivation. Let's do this. Hey, this is Chantal Gerardy from the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. And in today's episode, we have our very first guest, John Dwyer. Now, John is here today. He lives on the Gold Coast, so super convenient to come down to our studio in Burleigh. And as I start my first series of guest interviews, I'm going to start with what I always say, and that is marketing is not what you do that's the same as everyone else, but it's what you do that's special. So John is such a humble man. I'm going to ask John to tell us a little bit about what makes him special. Tell us a bit about your business.
Well, my humility for a start, of course. And look, thank you very much for bumping who you did have for the first podcast. It was Elon Musk, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I love being first. Yeah, look, our business is called the Institute of Wow. And what we do is help businesses with direct response marketing, Chantal. It's a lot of people who are running a business out there, of course, as you well know, with what you do for a living, is that they are concentrating mainly on branding, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we buy Kellogg's because it's Kellogg's. But at the end of the day, they might not be a big enough business to be just concentrating on that. And what we say to them is that they might like to concentrate on direct response marketing.
Sure. So for those out there who are not sure about what direct response marketing is, how would you explain it?
Pretty much advertising on Facebook today and getting a result tomorrow. So instead of putting your face on the side of a bus or the back of a taxi or sponsoring the local netball team, which is great, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that won't necessarily put food on the table tomorrow. So, you know, a lot of people that we come across who are business owners come home from work and they say to the kids at the dinner table, look, we got 150 likes today. And they say, Daddy, we're hungry. Is there any food to eat? So you want to get away from vanity metrics and particularly if you're a small business, and what you want to do is be able to use direct response tactics to make money tomorrow.
Yeah, excellent. I always talk about having a strategy, and for those that haven't heard the first episode with my story, I moved here from South Africa in 2008, and that is exactly the story that I had. I knew no one, had no money, and I had to feed the family. So I had to teach myself social media marketing, and I couldn't afford for my content not to work. The content had to convert, else I wouldn't be able to feed the kids. Yep. So I completely love everything that you've said there. So tell us a little bit about the story of John. So something that we may not know about you, a little bit of your hero story.
Look, I'm glad you asked. I've got some baby photos here from many years ago. My first role in marketing was at Roselands Shopping Centre in Sydney, which is a big Westfield sales shopping centre. And I got the job as the promotions assistant there. And it was a really good learning curve because me being a complete idiot, I decided that on a Thursday night when shopping centres would bring a lot of crowds, Thursday night was a new thing back in those days. We're talking the 1800s, right? And so therefore we would put on a pop star or something like that on a Thursday night and pack the shopping centres. But guess what? They were just schoolgirls coming to see the pop star. So I was a complete moron, which meant that we had 15,000 screaming girls in the shopping centre, and most of the shops pulled their shutters down and closed. So yeah, I got taught a lesson big time that no, it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality. And so therefore, of course, I moved on from there and became the advertising guy in the Woolworths empire, and learned a lot about direct response marketing, because those who might be close to my vintage might remember that in the days, Woolworths and Coles would hold stamp collection promotions. So for every time you spent $10, you got a stamp, you licked it and put it onto a saver sheet, and then you could get cookware and glassware for special prices. And that, as a stimulant for like stickiness, was unbelievable. And then we moved on to scratch games, and we did a whole lot of things that were loyalty-based. And I thought to myself, look, this thing is working. Why don't I leave and set up my own thing? So that's what I did. I left Woolworths and set up my own thing, and that's where we are today.
Yeah, excellent. That's so good. So if we go to your website, we've got Jerry Seinfeld all over the website. So tell us the Jerry Seinfeld story.
Chantal, I've never told this to anyone. I have milked the daylights out of that.
Oh, good boy, good boy.
Well, it's funny, because it was a client of mine called the Greater Building Society, and they were a client they ended up being a client for 10 years. But when I got involved, they were doing exactly what the big banks were doing. They were selling home loans on price, 6.2%, and the Commonwealth Bank would beat them at 6.1%, and then they'd drop it. They're never going to beat the big four banks. And whilst the greater building society is the 250th biggest business in Australia. They're not going to beat the Commonwealth Bank. So I said to them, I don't know what you guys are smoking, but you're not going to beat the Commonwealth Bank or Westpac on interest rates. You're a challenger brand. So as a challenger brand, you do things differently. And they said, well, what? And I'd been doing some TV commercials for a travel company, a discount travel company. So I introduced them. And what we did is that we stopped the honeymoon rate and just gave that to the travel company. And they gave us a fantastic deal on holidays. And so therefore we launched a campaign which said, get a home loan, get a free holiday. The thing went nuts. And again, because I'm a moron, I didn't charge a percentage of the increase in home loans. They took an extra $15 billion, not million, $1 billion worth of home loans in the first few years, and this moron charged a consultancy fee. And then about 4 years into it, then we took it up a level, and I won't bore you with the details, but I convinced, after annoying him for 6 months, I convinced Jerry Seinfeld to be the spokesman for the bank. And so when he came on, it just went to a whole new level. Yeah. So I'd go to New York throughout the 3 years, and Jerry would basically stand in front of a mock-up building society and tell gags, and of course we captured those to put them on TV as TV ads, and once Seinfeld got involved, the results just went up again.
Yeah, awesome. So just getting an influence involved and being able to leverage them online, it makes sense. So what other meaningful strategies would you have for marketing that you can share with our audience today?
None, that's pretty much it.
That's it? That's all you got? We're out.
I've always wanted to do that. What you should do as a host is actually call my bluff and go, okay, well, that's it. Yeah.
Cheers, let's go to the pub.
Exactly. That was a 7-minute podcast. Look, my view is for any small to medium-sized business, and I suggest a lot of the audience for this probably would be small to medium-sized businesses, try and make sure that you've got something that's going to distract them from price. And the reason I say that is because if you're a small business, let's say you're a corner shop and you think you're going to beat, let's say you're a hardware store and you think you're going to beat Bunnings across the road, that's not going to happen on price. Whereas if you said, look, for every time you spend X dollars with me, I will give you a wheelbarrow, or I'll give you a pitchfork or whatever it might be, then they'll take 6 months worth of meetings to actually even think about combating that. They can't. All the big guys move very, very slowly, and I know because having come from a Woolworths background, they move pretty slow. So if you're a small business, you can be nimble. And my view is that what you need to do is to look for a Happy Meal toy. And being the father of 6, and they're all grown up these days, but we had 6 under 12 at one stage, and we spent $7 billion on Happy Meals just to shut those little rats up in the back of the car. And had nothing to do with the hamburgers, being a mum. It had everything to do with the free toy. And so therefore, McDonald's have been clever enough to take our eyes off the price for about 40 years. Kellogg's have done the same thing. So my view is that what a small business should look for is what Kellogg's and McDonald's have been doing forever, and that is some sort of incentive to actually take their eyes off your price. Because if you think you're going to beat Kmart or Big W or Bunnings on price, then you're in Disney World.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I always say to everyone, it's like if you make it about the price, if you start going value, price, upsell, downsell, and you start drawing their attention to it, you're stopping them from actually focusing on your point of difference, from the value that you're offering, and your special glitter or juice. Yep. So we make it more about you, make it more about your point of difference, make it more about your niche and what it is that you do that's different from everyone else. And that's why I love this whole concept of meaningful marketing, because it's meaningful for you and it's meaningful for them as well.
You know what happened though, Chantal? As a result of the Seinfeld thing, a travel company contacted us just before COVID, and they said, look, you look like you've got half a clue when it comes to marketing. We're a travel company, and we've got access to unsold hotel rooms around the world. I went, okay, yeah, go on. And they said, well, do you want to join forces where you actually package up the holiday vouchers and give them to businesses to use as a Happy Meal toy? My words, not theirs, but nonetheless, that's what they meant. And I said, well, yeah, okay, but I turned it upside down because I've seen every travel scam there is, and you would have too, because being in the marketing game. And, yeah, it was all... to use an Australian term, it was fair income. And all it was the hotels, basically outside of school vacation periods, they've got about 30% of their rooms vacant every night. So they give them up in the hope that whoever stays there as a free guest will spend money on food and beverage. And it's a beautiful win-win for the business wins and the hotels win. So what we've done is we've packaged that together these days for businesses whereby they get a voucher that's probably 3 to 7 night voucher that's valued at about $1,000. And we give it to them for less than $50, would you believe? And what they do is that then they hand that out when someone buys their product or service. Now, that's the Happy Meal for Happy. The reason I bring that up is to demonstrate that the reason McDonald's have done so well is that toy cost them 22 cents to make out of China, but it's worth $4 or $5 in Kmart, all right? And the reason that really works is because it's a low cost but a high perceived value. And if you're looking for an incentive, then that's what you're after. So can you imagine if you've got a 3 or 4 night vacation for $50, but it's worth $1,000, then your customers are going to be pretty turned on.
Yeah, excellent. You definitely need to turn them on, that's for sure. So can you think of 3 other strategies you spoke about direct response marketing, 3 other strategies or methods or tactics that business owners can use right now to make their marketing more meaningful?
No, I can't. I'm sorry. I have to go.
Pub time again.
Yeah, exactly. Number 1, take their eyes off the price with an incentive. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is to ensure that whatever you offer, whatever deal it is, whether it's buy the refrigerator and get a free holiday, or buy this and get free movie tickets, or buy this and get a dining voucher, whatever your incentive might be, make sure that you either have a quantity or time limitation, because people will sit on the fence. And you know that, and I know that. If they don't have a time limitation, of course, they'll take forever to talk about it with their partner or people else or somebody else in the business. And the third thing is to position you or your business as the expert. And I'm sure because you do a similar thing to me, you teach people how to do marketing, they are coming to you because you positioned yourself as the expert. And likewise in my instance. And you know, without being silly, I think both you and I have got the runs on the board to demonstrate that you are good at what you say you're good at. And so therefore, find an incentive, take their eyes off the price. Number 2, make sure that you actually have a quantity or time limitation, and normally it's time limitation. Get in by Friday at 5 o'clock and you get the special deal. And then number 3, position you or your business as the expert. So, you know, if your business is the expert, that's fine. And you might want to back away a little bit and not be the front of the business, that's fine. But promote either you or your business as the expert, because people gravitate to expert. I mean, Gordon Ramsay is a great example of that. You know, he's probably got a lot of other people who are as good a chef as he is, but he's better at marketing himself as the expert.
I always say that whoever does marketing best gets the customer. So at the end of the day, you've got all these people out there, and whoever does it well is going to get the client at the end of the day. So I love what you said there. You know, number 2, for me, it's always around FOMO, having early birds, you know, that scarcity thing. Oh, I'm going to miss out if I don't purchase. And people need that right now because there's so much free choice out there. And with being able to save links online now and take screenshots and that, they know that they can just go to Google, they can price compare. It's so easy. So you really have to do well, and you've got to get them in. Else it's just not going to work.
But there's nothing evil about it. A lot of people think, oh, well, you're going to give them a time deadline by Friday at 5 o'clock. You know, there's nothing evil about that. When Mr. Whippy used to come around when I was a child with the green sleeves music, and he would have the ice cream, and you know, we'd beg Mum before we go out and buy the ice. He was gone. If we didn't, that was a time limitation. He might not have put it on his little Mr. Whippy van, but he was gone in 5 minutes. We missed out on the ice cream.
Yeah, it was so good. That's when the children actually get their run in.
Yeah, exactly.
No, 100%. And then you spoke there on credibility as well and positioning. And I think that's important because a lot of business owners can be a little bit shy when it comes to this, and they don't want to position themselves online. Many don't want to have a public profile either. And I say to them, if you understand your privacy settings, you can have a public profile. But as soon as you go and make yourself super private and take yourself out completely, makes it really difficult for you to connect with people online. Yeah. Because nowadays people choose you for you. And that's really what social media marketing is about. It's about the connection. It's about that relationship. And people now, because they're so spoilt for choice, they actually want to do business with people. So they want to get to know who you are. They want to find out your idiosyncrasies, and they want to see, and you may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you might be someone's champagne, you know? And so I think looking for that credibility, you know, whether or not it is awards, whether or not it's years experience, whether or not it's experiences that you've had in your life, whether or not it's registrations, licenses, insured, so important to use it. In fact, we did something with tradies, and if on a website you say licensed and insured, they're more likely to get traffic and hits, even though the other tradie may also be licensed and insured. If they don't say it, they'll get less hits. So important to include. Such great points there. Thank you so much. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience today before we come to an end?
My auntie, Teresa, who was known probably by you and others as Mother Teresa, she taught me a phrase which was live to give. I'm being sarcastic, of course. And so therefore, Chantal, I brought this along with me because given that this is a video podcast, I thought I'd show you. When people asked me to write a book, I thought, well, we're called the Institute of Wow.com. I better make sure that it's a big book. And this is ridiculous, of course. But anyway, it's the size of a tabloid newspaper. And inside here is the last 15 or 20 years worth of all the direct response campaigns that I've had that worked. I didn't put the ones in there that didn't work. I thought
we don't need those ones.
I'll smart enough to leave those out, yeah. And in this book is case study after case study after case study, and they're all timeless ideas. So it wouldn't matter whether some of these ideas may have worked in 2009, they'll still work today. So it doesn't matter whether the communications medium may have been radio or TV or newspaper at that time. Now it would be online. It's the idea that makes a difference. So I would like to give that as a gift to all of your viewers, stroke listeners. And if they want that, do you mind if I tell them where to go?
Yep, go ahead.
So, that's not quite the way to put it. Tell them where to go. If they go to, it's called the WOW Manifesto. So if they go to wowmanifesto.com/free.
Excellent. And we will have that in the show notes as well. And for those of you who are listening on the audio podcast, John has just put up a ginormous book, which reminded me of a book that my twins hit my youngest daughter over the head with. It was a Winnie the Pooh, massive cardboard book where they went, "Here, Hannah," and they literally threw this book onto my baby child in her cot. Anyway, they were trying to be helpful, but literally it's the size of that massive Winnie the Pooh book for those of you who cannot see. So you can go on to his website. We will put the link in the show notes as well, and you can go in and download that resource and have a look at some of the direct response marketing tactics that are working right now.
But what they can do, Chantal, they can just swipe them. Seriously, I mean, although it sounds ridiculous when I'm being sarcastic and say live to give, the thing is that within that book, they can just swipe these things and use them themselves. So it's not one of those bait and switch offers whereby, look, you get into the book and it goes halfway through the idea and then stops. They can actually, anyone can take the ideas and just use them, and there's like 15, 20 years worth of ideas there.
Yeah, that's super good. I mean, I always encourage everyone to obviously make sure that they respect their audience and respect their business and their strategy as well, and make sure that it's relevant, because of course then it'll be so much more meaningful as well. But with such a huge choice to go through, I'm sure you're going to find some pretty cool ones there that you can take advantage of. So thank you so much, John Dwyer, for being with us today. This is the Meaningful Marketing Podcast, and if you've enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and like, share, rate, comment, or do whatever you want to do on your favorite platform. This is Chantal Gerardy and John Dwyer. Thanks for listening in. Meaningful marketing is all about you making your marketing meaningful. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. But subscribing means that you won't miss out on future episodes all about marketing and motivation. Stay inspired, stay focused, and make your marketing meaningful.